Well, if you've been following my channel for a while, you've probably seen this video coming a mile away. Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button, and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
So I'm just a couple of days removed from watching Prey, the latest entry in the Predator franchise. And in typical YouTube fashion, from the moment that I dropped my review, the trolls came out in full force to tell me how wrong I was.
Oh, there's a big surprise!
Or that I'm just being negative for clicks. You know, typical shit. Imagine being so fragile that you can't accept a well thought out, level-headed opinion that doesn't match your own. And this happens all the time on this channel, by the way. I've said this many times and I'll say it again. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. Go watch fucking IGN if all you want is your opinions retorted back to you.
S-O-F capital T. Soft. Huh?
You know what's really crazy is I did a little experiment. I don't know if anybody noticed this while I was reviewing this movie. I purposefully didn't mention much about the lead character and focused more on things like tone, plot, story, you know, filmmaking shit. And still people were upset with me for reasons and defending the lead character's abilities and the believability that she would be able to take down a predator. That's how fucking predictable these imbeciles are. And again, this was based on nothing I actually said in the video and more on things they hear around the internet.
You dudes don't know what duty is!
You see, I'm different. I can't be lumped in with anybody else. Because I, unlike most people, am a free-thinking person. And honesty is my best policy. I also don't attack people who have a different opinion than me on a fucking movie. That's what we're talking about here. Movies. Unless, of course, these opinions are incredibly phony and manufactured, and yes, you can tell the difference. Kinda like what we get on the garbage tier website that is Rotten Tomatoes.
Fuck you!
The place where real film criticism went to die a long time ago. Need proof of that? I got you, of course. But first I want to share a tweet with you because Twitter is the other platform where film criticism went to die. This tweet comes from Joe Russo, and no, it's not that Joe Russo. This one is considerably less famous and less intelligent, I think. He said, quote, "Prey is to the Predator franchise what Top Gun Maverick is to Top Gun."
Bullshit.
First of all, to compare one of my favorite movie-going experiences of the year, and a film worthy of being watched in the cinema like Top Gun Maverick, to a streaming service knockoff is not only insulting to nostalgia as a whole, but also insulting to cinema. You see, the creators involved with Top Gun Maverick took the time to craft something special for fans. Something that felt organic and even emotional at times. It had the right dose of nostalgia while also feeling like its own thing. Plus, yes, it was actually a treat for the eyes and exciting to watch.
That makes sense.
Prey, on the other hand, or at least the people praising Prey, want you to think that this movie is a back-to-basics approach, when in all actuality it is devoid of everything that made the original Predator so good to begin with. I was bored out of my fucking mind watching Prey, and there wasn't much about it that was all that iconic or memorable. No tension to speak of, no iconic characters, no iconic dialogue, no practical effects, a shitty Predator redesign, and absolutely nothing resembling a compelling story.
This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
Prey is proof that if you make enough bad movies in one franchise, people will latch on to the first thing that they deem as halfway decent and try to make it into the masterpiece that it isn't in their own minds. Prey currently sits at a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. And for those keeping score, the original Predator currently sits at an 80%. Do you need any more proof that the current Rotten Tomatoes system for scoring movies is flawed? Not to mention it gives your average moviegoer who doesn't know any better a false sense of the quality of said film.
That's right, it stinks!
But let's read some of these reviews so we can see what some of these top critics love so much about Prey. First we have Sean Collier from the Pittsburgh Magazine, who says, quote, "The Predator fights a bear. It is, therefore, a good movie." That's some in-depth analysis there, Sean. If I didn't know any better, I would say that this is satire, but no, people are just that easily entertained.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
The Predator fights a bear for the first time ever. People love first-time evers, especially when it involves a big flashy CGI fight. Now, I personally prefer my Predator to stalk its prey, you know, like a hunter, but I guess we should have just called this movie BVP and just cut right to the chase. Because clearly that's what qualifies this movie as top-tier entertainment to some people. And you wonder why I constantly say we need to raise our standards.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
Next we have Courtney Lanning of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, who says Prey plays the hits in a fresh way without having to rely on callbacks to the original, by having actors shout, "Get to the chopper." No, they just say, "If it bleeds, we can kill it" instead, but I guess that's different. Back to my point again that this movie really didn't do a whole lot different than all the other failed prequels and sequels that this franchise has. The difference is that this movie, unlike those movies, has an army of shills who are vouching for it. Why exactly? Well, more on that in a moment.
It's Hollywood, baby. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Next we have Joe Fryer of the Fort Worth Report, who says, Amber Midthunder and the authentic indigenous cast take the prequel to the next level, delivering the best sci-fi film of the year. You know, it's funny because a majority of the praise that I see being lobbied towards this film involves the indigenous people representation. Representation is important to some people. I personally never understood it because I've always personally identified with characters who do not look like me in movies. Typically because of how they are presented to me and how they are written.
Get the fuck out of here! No, I cannot. It's serious.
Now to reiterate, I didn't have a huge problem with the actors in this movie. I said that I thought the bigger problem was the piss-poor script they were forced to work off of, because it didn't do them any favors. Plus, I do take a little bit of issue being Native American myself, and having people, specifically critics or even people on social media, who use these indigenous characters as props to sell people on the cultural significance of this movie.
Fuck me, right?
And that kind of falls on, again, the piss-poor script as well. Because rather than treating them with respect and having believable dialogue, or a fully framed narrative for them, I actually didn't find the story for Prey to be compelling at all. Again, the story pretty much boiled down to, I want to hunt even though you don't want me to hunt. And that's just not that interesting to me from a character standpoint. Yes, Queen! Representation is only as good as the creative team that's behind it. And last but certainly not least, Lupe Rodriguez of the Cinemovie TV says, Prey joins the elite class of sequels that are better than the original. Lord Jesus help us all. The Dan Trachtenberg film delivers such a unique take and style that revives the franchise and makes the most clever film in the IP. A unique take, she says. I guess this person is completely unaware that this idea was basically stolen from a fan film called Warrior Predator. And if removing masculinity from the film is what you qualify as unique, I would combat that and remind everyone that there's already been a Predator film with a female lead, that being the original AVP. This is yet another example of people ignoring things that already happened just because it doesn't fit their narrative. And that's what this is about, really. If you're just a normal person off the streets who enjoyed Prey, then I'm happy for you.
I'd buy that for $1.
But these Rotten Tomatoes approved critics expose themselves every single time. They clearly have ulterior motives and they make quote-unquote film criticism about everything except discussing film. That's why this channel will always be a judge-free zone, where normal people can speak freely and have fun and realistic conversations about movies again. Or you can just show up in the comments and get mad about everything I say. The choice is yours. Either way, I win.
Y'all be cool. Right on.